All right, so buckle up because today we're going deep on the last part of Project 2025. Pages 900 to the end. It gets really interesting. Like the final lap for all these policy ideas will unpack what a conservative-led government could look like in 25, focusing on how this stuff could play out in the real world.
Yeah, we're past the intro stuff now, right? We're connecting the dots, seeing how these proposals work together. What's it all mean for, the average person?
Okay, so page 900, regulatory reform, jumps right out at you. They aren't talking about, like, small tweaks. It's a whole different way the government would regulate businesses.
And how they frame it is interesting. Like the current system is holding back innovation and growth. Got to be more market-oriented, less government, more letting industry regulate itself.
They even use the term permissionless innovation. Basically, businesses can innovate without jumping through all these regulatory hoops. But what about safety? Consumers, the environment.
Absolutely. That's the debate, isn't it? Innovation versus public interest. Project 2025 says the current system's too cautious, holding back progress. They point to things like the slow 5G rollout.
So fear of risks is sometimes outweighing the benefits of new tech.
Exactly. Got to be more willing to embrace risk, right, to get the rewards of innovation. They even suggest a regulatory sandbox. Companies try new stuff without immediate scrutiny.
Bold idea. Okay, moving on. Energy independence, another thing that caught my eye. Big on domestic energy, especially fossil fuels.
Yeah, energy independence, crucial for national security, the economy. They say the U.S. has a ton of untapped resources. We should use them, not rely on, other countries.
They even say roll back some of those environmental regs that are supposedly hindering energy production, specifically fracking, offshore drilling.
And streamline the permitting process. It's too slow now. Make it easier to get permits for, pipelines, refineries, all that.
I can hear the environmental groups now, but Project 2025 says new tech, best practices can soften that environmental impact from fossil fuels.
They hit hard on the economic side too, right? Energy independence equals jobs, lower prices, boost GDP, could even fund other things like tax cuts or infrastructure.
Big bet on fossil fuels. But what about renewables? They just dismiss those entirely.
Not completely, no. They acknowledge them, but skeptical of government-forced mandates and subsidies, distorting the market, picking winners.
So let the market decide which energy sources are best.
Exactly. Competition, innovation, not the government. And they do bring up the reliability of renewables, like with solar and wind, dependent on the weather.
Okay, so that's energy. What about healthcare? Always a hot topic.
Big overhaul proposed there. Moving away from the Affordable Care Act towards a market-based system. They aren't the ACA, drove up costs, less choice, want something more affordable, patient-centered.
More competition between insurers, providers, patients making informed choices. They talk about expanding health savings accounts, buying insurance across state lines.
Personal responsibility is a big theme, too. Individuals taking charge of their health, making good choices. Critical of, dependence on government health care.
So more individualistic, less collectivist.
Exactly. Individuals, not the government, are best equipped. More innovation, lower costs with this approach, they say. But of course, access to care is the concern, right? Pre-existing conditions, limited finances.
Yeah, it's complex, lots of different viewpoints. Okay, education. Project 2025 has some strong opinions on government's role there.
Huge on school choice. Parents decide where kids go. Expand charter schools, vouchers, even education savings accounts. Use that for various education expenses.
They really push back against federal involvement, saying the Department of Education has too much power, dictating curriculum, policies, should be left to states, local communities.
And they're concerned about a liberal bias in public schools, indoctrinating students instead of focusing on academics.
They even say, get rid of the Department of Education completely. Give control back to the states. Pretty radical. But then, how do we ensure all students have a quality education, regardless of where they live, their family's income?
That's the core of the school choice debate, right? Proponents say competition and choice will make all schools better. Critics say it'll just make the inequalities worse. Two-tiered system.
A complex issue with, lots of different angles. We've covered a lot. Regulatory reform, energy, healthcare, education. And we're just getting started.
Project 2025 covers so much. Immigration, foreign policy, national security, bold vision for America, challenges a lot of the conventional wisdom.
And we're going to break it all down right here on the Deep Dive. Stick around.
Back again for more Deep Dives. We're digging deeper into Project 2025, and things are about to get, well, a little spicy. We're talking immigration, national security, America's place in the world, all that.
Yeah, we're moving from policy to, like, geopolitics. And
Yeah.
Project 2025 doesn't hold back, that's for sure.
Not at all. On immigration, they push for a, quote, secure and sovereign border. But it's more than just walls, right? More agents, better tech, stricter enforcement of immigration laws, even within the U.S.
They even talk about making it harder for undocumented immigrants to get social services, benefits. The thinking is that'll deter illegal immigration. But what about families, communities, even U.S. citizens who get caught in the middle?
Right, that's a big point of debate. Project 2025 frames it as fairness. American taxpayers shouldn't be paying for people who are here illegally. Critics say it's inhumane. Deny basic services to people in need regardless of their status.
No easy answers there, for sure. Okay, national security. Project 2025 is definitely hawkish, American strength, leadership on the world stage, that kind of thing.
Big time. Increased defense spending. Got to be ready for all kinds of threats, terrorism, cyber attacks, China. Even suggest new weapons systems, space-based weapons even. Keep that military dominance.
They're concerned about military readiness, too. Years of budget cuts, deployments, it's taken a toll. Refocus on training, recruitment, modernization. Stay the most powerful military in the world.
And they're not afraid to use that military power. Intervene maybe on our own, maybe with allies, stop rogue states, terrorists, that sort of thing. Especially when it comes to, like, WMDs or threats to U.S. interests.
So a more assertive foreign policy, maybe even interventionist. Pretty different from the more cautious approach we've seen lately.
It is. Back to that idea of American exceptionalism.
Yeah.
America's got a responsibility to keep the world stable, and we shouldn't be afraid to use our military.
But doesn't that risk getting us stuck in more conflicts, more foreign entanglements?
That's the counter-argument, for sure. Costly, risky, often counterproductive. Look at Iraq, Afghanistan, they'll say. Military intervention can make things worse.
Yeah, that debate's not going away anytime soon. Okay, let's talk trade. Project 2025 is pretty skeptical of free trade agreements. Say they hurt American workers, businesses.
Especially those big multilateral deals, like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Give too much away, they say. Undermine American sovereignty. Better to go with bilateral deals, where the U.S. has, more leverage.
They also want to be more aggressive on trade enforcement. Tariffs, other measures to protect American industries, unfair competition, from China, other countries.
And using trade as a tool for foreign policy. Sanctions to punish countries that support terrorism, violate human rights, stuff like that. Anything against American interests.
So more protectionist, maybe even nationalist. That's a big change from how U.S. trade policy has been for decades.
It reflects how a lot of Americans feel, right? Worried about globalization, free trade, what's it doing to jobs, wages. Project 2025 taps into that, says we need to put America first.
But doesn't that risk, like trade wars, hurting the global economy, including ours?
That's what the free traders say. Protectionism just leads to higher prices, less choice, economic problems. A more open system with rules, that's best for everyone.
Yeah, no easy answers there. The impact of free trade is complicated, not always fair. Okay, we covered a lot here. Immigration, national security, trade. Project 2025 has some strong opinions, no doubt.
It's a vision of America that's more assertive, not afraid to use its power, protect its interests, shape the world. It'll appeal to people who think America's lost its way, needs to be strong again.
But it'll worry others, right?
Yeah.
Concerned about interventionism, protectionism, stricter immigration. All those things have consequences.
Project 2025 wants to spark debate, get people talking, a call to action, for those who want a stronger, more conservative America.
And that's what we're doing here on The Deep Dive. Exploring the issues, all the different sides. Help you make up your own mind.
There's more to come, though. Specifics, taxes, entitlements, criminal justice, all that.
So stick with us for part 3. We'll wrap up our deep dive into this interesting, sometimes controversial document. Okay, welcome back to The Deep Dive. We're wrapping up our look at Project 2025, and we've talked big picture, but got to get down to the details, right? Policies, the stuff that could actually affect, your wallet, your community.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk philosophy, limited government, all that, but how does it actually work? What are the policies that make a difference in people's lives?
Exactly. So, taxes. Project 2025 has some pretty big changes in mind for the tax code. Lower rates, fewer deductions, simpler system. The argument is current system's too complex, too much of a burden, hurts economic growth.
Lower individual rates, corporate rates. Boost investment, create jobs, more money in people's pockets. Get rid of deductions, credits, they say. Too complicated. Benefit special interests more than the average person.
They even bring up a flat tax. Everyone pays the same percentage no matter how much they make. That's a pretty radical idea. Can be a lot of debate about that one.
Challenges that idea of a progressive tax system, right? Where the more you make, the more you pay. Project 2025 says a flat tax is fairer, simpler, better for growth. Critics say it benefits the wealthy too much, makes income inequality worse.
Fairness, economic efficiency, what's the government's role in redistributing wealth? Big questions, okay? Entitlements, Social Security, Medicare. Millions rely on these programs, and Project 2025 proposes some, well, pretty significant changes there too.
Unsustainable, they say, the way they are now. Aging population, rising healthcare costs, big funding challenges. They talk about raising the retirement age for Social Security, means testing benefits. So wealthier people get less, and making Medicare more market-based.
Even letting younger workers opt out of Social Security entirely, invest their own money. Controversial for sure. Raises questions about how stable, how secure these programs would be.
Gets to the heart of government's role, right? Providing a safety net. Project 2025 says we got to reform these programs to make sure they're around long-term, give individuals more control. Critics worried about weakening the safety net, hurting those who need it most.
Generational equity, individual responsibility, that balance between government help and doing it yourself. Lots to unpack there. Okay, one last area, criminal justice. Project 2025 is tough on crime, but they also see the need for some reform.
Yeah, enforce the laws we have. Longer sentences for violent criminals, more money for law enforcement. But they admit the system's too harsh sometimes, especially for nonviolent offenders.
So reduce mandatory minimum sentences, especially for drug offenses, more rehab, job training in prisons. Make it easier for ex-offenders to, get back on their feet. Reduce recidivism, lower costs, keep the public safe.
Trying to balance things out, right? Law and order, but also rehabilitation, second chances. It's a complicated system, no easy answers, need a smart approach. Tough, but also fair.
Well, we've covered a lot, from the big ideas to the specific policies. Project 2025 is bold, that's for sure. Challenges the way we think about things, offers a different path.
Some will love it, some will hate it. It's going to spark debate, makes us think about, government's role, individual liberty, responsibility, the future of America, all that.
And that's what the deep dive is all about, giving you the information, the insights, so you can join the debate, make up your own mind.
It's just one perspective, one set of ideas. But it's worth thinking about, talking about it, seeing if it makes sense.
Thanks for being with us on the deep dive. Keep learning, keep exploring, keep those conversations going. We'll see you next time.